Sio kawaida kwa kiongozi wa dini fulani kusomea mafunzo ya dini tofauti. Lakini kwa Padri Richard Aoko anayehudumu katika kanisa la Mtakatifu Yusuf katika eneo la Chuda, hili sio geni kwake. Kiongozi huyu wa kanisa Katoliki katika jimbo kuu la Mombasa amesomea mafunzo ya dini ya Uislamu. Je, ni kipi ambacho kilimpelekea kufanya uamuzi huu, na labda hili lina maana gani kwake? Jina langu ni Paula Munio.
Kwa majina naitwa Reverend Father Richard Aoko Airo. Mimi ni padri wa jimbo kuu la Mombasa, ambapo hapa tulipo ni sehemu ya jimbo kuu la Mombasa, parokia Mtakatifu Yusufu Chuda. Mimi ni paroko wa parokia hii ya Mtakatifu Yusufu Chuda, na pia ni mkurugenzi wa idara ya mawiano ya madhehebu mbalimbali katika jimbo kuu la Mombasa, ambapo nina ofisi pale Star of the Sea. Hii ni ofisi ya parokia. Kuna ofisi nyingine pale Star of the Sea ambayo inahusiana na mambo ya uwiano ya madhehebu, na pia ni katika national level. Mimi ni advisor wa maaskofu katika Kenyan Conference of Catholic Bishops kwa mambo ya interreligious dialogue. Mimi nimezaliwa hapa Mombasa na nikaishi Mombasa. Nimesoma pale Kongoya Primary, baadaye nikaenda sehemu inaitwa Curtis Kongoya Primary pale Mkomani, na nilipofika darasa la 8 nikaenda bara. Naelewa mara nyingi watu wanaenda bara kusomea bara, so nikapelekwa bara na wazazi wangu. Wakati huo nikaenda shule inaitwa St. Gabriel's Minor Seminary Kisumu. Lakini punde tu baada ya kumaliza kidato cha 4 nilirudi Mombasa, kwa sababu tokea nikiwa mtoto pale Kongoya, nilipoishi Kongoya nikiwa mtoto mdogo, nilikuwa napenda sana kwenda kanisani pale Our Lady of Fatima Catholic Church. Tulikuwa watumishi pale miaka ya mwisho late 80s and early 90s pale Kongoya. Na niliporudi kutoka masomoni, kwa bahati mbaya wazazi wangu wakawa wameaga wote wawili, ikabidi nihame Kongoya, nikaishi Mikindani na wazazi na ndugu zake babangu. Pale ndio ikabidi, kulingana na sheria, ukibadilisha kanisa kama familia pia unabadilisha mahali pa kusali, kwa sababu nilikuwa nasomea ufada ama upadri kuhani. So nikabadilishwa nikaelekea Mikindani. So 2002 nikawa sasa Mkristo wa Mikindani na kijana sasa wa Wakristo wa Mikindani. Nikahama Kongoya na nikaendelea na masomo yangu. Nikasoma seminari kuu inaitwa Christ the King Major Seminary kule Nyeri. Pale Christ the King, kulingana na masomo ya kiutume ama ya kiupadri, kuna awamu fulani mpaka ufike ndio uwe umeiva kiasi kama padri, ikiwemo masomo ya kiroho ambayo inachukua mwaka mmoja. Na wakati huo jimbo kuu la Mombasa ilikuwa ina party inaitwa Kamansi, ambayo Kamansi ni kuja kuona kama kweli unaweza kutamani kuwa padri. So Kamansi yangu nilifanya kule Taita Taveta, parokia inaitwa Mkange Davida. That was in 2001 and part of 2002. Na nilipomaliza Kamansi ndio nikaambiwa sasa unaelekea seminari kuu. Na nikaelekea seminari kuu ya Kristo Mfalme. Ni mmoja wa seminari ya jimbo la Nyeri, kubwa, tunaiita complex, iko na everything inside. So nikaanzia pale, nikafanya masomo yangu ya kiroho pale Christ the King. Then nikaenda masomo yangu ya kifalsafa, tunaita kwa kimombo philosophy, which was 3 years. Nikaifanya pale. Nilipomaliza masomo yangu ya falsafa pale Christ the King, that was in 2003 to 2006, niliweza kupata Bachelor of Arts yangu in Philosophy under the Catholic University of Eastern Africa, ambayo ilikuwa affiliated to the seminary. So nikapata my first degree pale mwezi wa 17 tarehe 17 mwezi wa 11 2012 nikafanywa kuhani hapa kwangu pale kwa Pastoral Center. See the way God Mungu anafanya mambo yake hapa kwangu. And in 2017 when Father Mshila's sickness to some extent it was worse to some extent, he was taken to hospital for admission, And that moment, the Archbishop sent a letter that I'm now the father in charge of St. Maria Goretti, Bamba. And in March 2021, that's when I got a letter telling me that you've been transferred from Bamba. You are now going to St. Joseph Chuda. You're going to take over from Father Lago, then, who is now Bishop Lago, going to Malindi. And then, not only that, but you are also going to be in charge of Interreligious Director of Interreligious Dialogue. And that's how I landed here. I felt it was time for me also to engage in PhD. And that is when, through the permission of my Archbishop, thanks be to him, he was able to allow me to start my studies at Pwani University on interreligious dialogue. Now, as we all know, interfaith, there is no course. In PhD, there is no coursework where you meet classmates. It is only the research mostly. So that's when I came up with research. So my first one, the first research I did in Masters, which was also in Pwani, was towards the inculturation of Nyerere za Mwezi and Agiriama funeral rite, with specific reference to St. Patrick Roman Catholic Church in Kenya, in Kilifi, Kenya. This was my master's. Then, now that what has brought you here is this, the interfaith dialogue. As I am working and seeing how things are working, I decided to do this title: Interreligious Dialogue and Social Cohesion. Interreligious Dialogue and Social Cohesion. The pastoral approach of the Roman Catholic Church in the Archdiocese of Mombasa. And I majored on 4 forms of interreligious dialogue. I majored on dialogue of life. I majored on dialogue of religious experience. I majored on dialogue of action. I majored on dialogue of theological exchange. Many of things which are happening, the stereotype we have given to each religion, that is what is creating conflict. That Wakatoliki wanabudu sanamu, Waislamu wako na majini, sijui wa Protestanti wako hivi. Those things which are not true are destroying our religious groups. Some are even relating, from my study of Islam, as I studied Islam in the university, I came to realize Islam itself is peace, and it is pure. So the idea of people coming up and putting Islam as a religion of war, that is very wrong. So what I want to say is that what we are lacking is that know-how, that people, Kenyans, should understand that we are not there to compete as religious groups and we will work for conversion and come with muhadara where I hit a Catholic hit a Muslim hit a SDA. No, because this is where the political class takes advantage. There is nothing we can borrow from each other, because Islam, Christian and Judaism are Abrahamic religions. Being Abrahamic religions, they emanate from Abraham. And that's why if you look at the 5 pillars of Islam, the profession of faith, Ilah ilah Allah Muhammad Rasulullah Allah, that one, come to the Catholic, the creed, nasadiki wa Mungu Baba Mwenyezi. The same thing, creed and the profession of faith. If you are given Quran and you say this is a profession of faith. If you come like zakat, tithing, in Islam, how they give the zakat, the manner of giving it might be different, but it is the same zakah in Christians. If you look at Salah, the Muslims, they pray 5 times per day. The Al-Fajr, the Al-Asr, the Ad-Duhur and the rest, 5 times per day. And if you go to Christians, Catholics, true Catholic has to go for Mass for at least 30 minutes every day. For your information. And within Mass, we also have other prayers like adoration, benedictions. We have liturgy of the hours. Like me as a priest, I have an office of the reading that I need to pray 5 times per day as a religious also. The same to Muslims. And then if you look at Hajj, going for pilgrimage. Christians, in my parish here, Christians are struggling each and every day. Father, you saw this year, all Catholics went to Kuhiji at Subukia, you remember? Yeah. And many of them go to Rome and they walk the way of St. Paul, the apostle. The same our dear brothers and Muslims, they struggle, at least they're told, make sure that you go to Mecca once in your life if you can. So there is nothing new. The only thing, these things were hidden and we were not ready to be exposed and to exchange. This is why we bring up the dialogue of theological exchange. Because once I understand a Muslim and these doctrines, like now kujitawadha katika Waislamu, wanapoenda msikitini wanajitawadha, wanajiosha, kuna vile wanajiosha, kujisafisha kwenda mbele ya Mungu. The same with Catholics. Before Catholic receive the Eucharist, what happens? He must go for confession. It's only that because of Corona. But before Corona, at the door of every church, there used to be a small thing where you put your hands and you absolve yourself. You cleanse yourself. And the priest also used to go around the church and sprinkle holy water on people, like to prepare them for the worship which is ahead. So, and we need a way out, that we need to dialogue. Dialogue is the way. Can we sit down and see what separates us and fight for what unites us rather than to fight for what separates us? And we shall find the world a better place to be. But if we will only be fighting for what divides us and we fight for the numbers, I'll always see my neighbor as an enemy. Because one thing I've come to understand as a Catholic priest, that there is great love in our brothers and sisters in the Muslim arena. There is great love. And if we come to understand that love, then the world can be the best place to live with. Because I want us to get this very clearly. Your religion will not take you to heaven. Let's get that very clearly. Your religion will not take you to heaven. We can have so many ways of going to heaven, but the destination is one. So our destination is one. Our destiny is one. We are all fighting at least to be with God, at least to see heaven one day. How we get there, that is now what we have in this world. Some are Catholics, some are Muslims, some are Hindus, some are Buddhism, some are Sikhism, and the rest. And some are ATR, African Traditional Religion. But the last end point is one. And that's why when we look at what drives us, we find we share a lot of common things, especially among the three religions which are Abrahamic religion.